Good morning, afternoon, evening or night, whenever you're watching this, welcome. It's a glorious rainy autumn day at the seaside, and I'm in a nice warm hotel room in the ancient village of Tynemouth, with the camera pointing northwards up the beach. When the weather has eased up a little, I'll be heading out south to hunt beneath a cliff, amongst the rocks and pools at the other end of this beach, and though I have no expectation of finding treasures, there is a chance that the sea might have dropped some old things from Newcastle, carried out to sea by the River Tyne, and the cliffs might have dropped some fossils. Then later, perhaps, a visit to the castle and the priory. Looking a bit better. It's Batman, or is it? I don't recall any version of his costume being sky blue and white. Cheap Chinese knockoff, perhaps? I can see a few bits of nicely worn sea glass, smoother than most I find in inland rivers. Some pottery. Looks like it had pattern or picture of a flag with a cross on it and words. Sorry, might be too bright for the camera to really show it, but it's interesting and I might research it a bit. Little piece of pipe stem. I didn't really expect to find this. I don't know why. Of course I would, and I probably will find more. Oh, just a stone. And some bright white pottery which may well have once been blue and white. And onwards, taking care not to squish the sleeping cockles and barnacles, and looking out for any interesting wildlife in the pools and crevices. Is it going to have any pattern? Nope. But it's nice, bright and smooth, and I might find a craft use for it one day. Sea glass, common find for people who live by the sea, a rare find for me. Looks like jewellery grade. I'm not going to film every piece of it I pick up. Well, maybe in a roundup. Ooh, pipe stem. Wonder if I'll find any pieces of pipe bowl. This looks like I should be careful not to harm it if it's an alive thing. Yes, I think it's a sea anemone, with its tentacles tucked away inside while the tide is out. just seen a hermit crab hiding from us down there, and the camera won't have caught it. This shouldn't be here. Feels a bit too light to still have a copper inside. Yep, it's just plastic now. No value to me, but I'll remove it. This is intriguing. Looks like a giant fossilized rose, and there's more of it dotted around. I think it's just mineralized bits of a rock that are harder than the surrounding sandstone, and that's eroded away. They do kind of look like fossils though, perhaps fossilized seaweed or something. More sea anemones, looking rather like the rock as others. Pipe stem. Bit of ridged pottery, probably from a marmalade jar. Sea glass everywhere. More sea anemones. Bit of a base of a pot, not one I'm familiar with. And a nice piece of bare copper wire. Fossilized sea sponge or oddly eroded flint, I'm not sure which. Probably safe to err on the side of the latter. Interesting stone. Looks like it has a child's drawing of a flower on it. A piece of handmade pot. Lump of iron oxide with a faint hint of something cylindrical inside. It's very light for its size, so I'm guessing it was pipe and it's largely hollow. I'll take it for adventures in electrolysis. Little glass bead. That's a pleasantly surprising thing to find. I wonder if it's still in its original shape or if it was bigger and worn down. Ooh, that's a very odd shape, with the crevices still coated in a nice deep green glaze. I can't picture what that might once have been, can you? More anemones. More wire. I wish to see more variety. Ooh, that's unusual. A something V Franco? A bit like a pot, but with screw threads all down the side. Feels like it could be part of an insulator, but also feels like I could be way off with that guess. Anyone have any ideas? And here I was thinking these rocks were commonly falling away into the sea, 78 years at least since that face was exposed. See something hiding. A bit of bowl, a bit of stem, and the rest of a clay pipe. Another bit of a marmalade jar. Looks like a bit of an egg cup. Very breakfast-themed puddle of pebbles, this one. And on to the next. Ooh, there's a bit of a teapot, because of course it wouldn't be a proper English breakfast without a cup of tea. Interesting ironwork. Now, is it where it was put by man or by the sea? It looks quite level, and the concrete it's set in looks like it's supposed to be here. And there's another one over there, which must mean this was a pipe cradle, possibly an old sewage outlet from a time when that was deemed acceptable. There's another. And they're in a line heading for there. Yep, looks at least like a blocked off drain, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was once a sewage outflow. Now that's curiously fat. I think it's pottery of some description, but the sea and the rocks tumble away identifying marks. Oh well. Ooh, that's surprising. A little bit of leaf and flower transfer printed pattern, not worn away yet. Up there is where 3 kings were buried. A 7th century priory with 11th and 13th, 15th and 16th century castle fortifications, 15th century chapel, 19th century graveyard, Second World War gun emplacements, and a late 20th century Coast Guard station. So much history on one small promontory of rock, slowly crumbling into the North Sea. Fancy seeing you here. Fascinating and voracious predators, these strange-looking little creatures. The stuff of nightmares for mollusks and bivalves, if mollusks and bivalves dream. Now, could that be part of a fossilized sea sponge? I've seen similar in other videos. It looks like flint to me. Could be a fossil, part of a vertebrae with the centre of it worn through. Doesn't look or feel like a rusty washer, hard to be sure though. The tide is coming in, and in about half an hour, give or take, this rock here will be underwater. Still, there's small pebble beaches to search, and an easy climb to get off them when I'm done. It's a little purple thing, certainly once faceted and part of jewellery. Could maybe be amethyst, probably more likely to be paste. Small rounded pebbles for a craft project. Bits of wire for smelting projects. Sea glass for theoretical jewellery projects. Nice bit of blue and white pattern. A bit of a brick. There's always a bit of a brick to find. Not enough of it to tell who made it though. Pebbles, pebbles. I must look crazy to anyone on the path. Sitting down here, sorting through pebbles and filming it. I swear I have a genuine craft project in mind for these small rounded pebbles. I've been collecting them from the rivers at home, but there's very few suitable ones there and plenty here. Bit of a clay pipe. And this is probably about as much of this I should film. Quit before it becomes insufferable. Fork. Stainless steel, but looking quite stained. Actually, it looks like it's been in contact with fire. I'd expect this sort of staining on a spoon used in drug taking. I wouldn't expect it on a fork. Perhaps it's just a sea playing tricks. Almost time. It just got me. The ruins of the priory. The original monastic buildings were built here sometime in the first half of the 7th century AD. This was the burial place of Oswin, king of Deira, murdered in 651 and later revered as a saint, of Osred II, king of Northumberland from 789 to 790, murdered in 792, and of Malcolm III of Scotland, killed in battle in 1093, though his body was moved during the reign of his son. And he makes an appearance in Shakespeare's Macbeth, or rather Shakespeare's play is based partially on him. It was plundered by the Danes in the year 800, fortified enough to repel them in 832, but not enough to do the same in 865, 870 or 875. There's been a castle here since before 1066. It was upgraded throughout the centuries, and once there was a curtain wall and towers all the way round the site. Though the north and eastern walls fell into the sea, the south wall was demolished, and only the western landside wall remains. Bit by bit the sea will take it all. for a roundup. And I had a lovely time in Tynemouth and the surrounding area. It's a long time since I've been to the seaside, and I enjoyed messing about on the rocks, finding more than I expected to. I also had the best curry I've ever had in neighbouring Whitley Bay. It was so good that my girlfriend and I decided to go there again the next night, which was again the best, and the following night too, which was even better. Not that the food was better each night, it's just that we tried different things on the menu and found the things we liked most on the last night. Anyway, Pebbles. They're for a planned craft project in which I'm intending to make a model of a kingfisher midway through catching a fish in the stream, all encased in epoxy resin. These are for the stream bed. I intend to film the process, but it is going to be months before I get around to attempting it. I found a decent amount of sea glass worth taking. There was certainly a lot more there that I missed, but time and tide and all that. This will do for crafts, this smaller lot for jewellery if I ever get round to trying that again. A few nice pieces of pottery. I'm still not certain what this flag signifies. The closest I'm aware of is the Templar Knight's Cross, but that's usually red on white rather than white on blue. Any ideas? I have no idea what this thing is. I think it says AM & Co. V. Franco on the bottom. If anyone has any ideas, then please do comment. I found more copper wire than I expected, which is a failure of my imagination because I find so much of it in rivers. Of course there's going to be a lot of it in the ocean. Anyway, aside from the plastic sleeve of it, I'm happy to take it. Unlike the purely plastic waste, which is just ever sad to see, even when it's something like this, which was probably a lost toy that was loved, and if left would perhaps have been scooped up by the beach cleaning machine, or maybe swept out to sea again where it could be a small part of a very large problem. I don't know for sure if any of these are fossils, but I think at least 2 of them probably are. If you know better, then please do say. I'm very happy to learn. I picked up a few hagstones too, which are natural stones with natural holes, but often associated with the supernatural. And that, I think, is pretty much everything of interest. I hope you've enjoyed this video. As ever, please give it a like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, hit the bell icon to enable notifications, comment, share, donate, buy or ignore. Thank you all very much for watching, and for now, goodbye.